Hi, I'm Leah. This is the first in some questions and answers videos that I need to do. And this first one is about getting started with spinning. So I just wanted to address some regular questions that come up, and one of them is about equipment needed to begin with spinning from scratch. So also people asking, is it expensive to get started in getting the equipment? So it doesn't need to be. It depends what kind of spinning you want to do. It depends what your budget is, and if you know you're definitely going to want to do it, or whether you just want to try it. If you just want to try it, or you haven't got a very high budget to get equipment, then I recommend starting on a drop spindle. These can be bought for not much money. It's like anything from sort of £7, £8 upwards, depending on how fancy it is, or how nice it is, or how handmade it is. You can actually make drop spindles in lots of different ways, but often people get a dowel and a CD and fix a CD onto the dowel, or something. You just need some kind of weight, some kind of disc or weight to work with it, to make a drop spindle to work. I've never made one with a CD or anything like that, so I don't know what they're like to spin on, so I can't recommend doing that, but I have heard of it being done quite often. So yeah, you can get drop spindles offline on eBay and things like that as well, easily. So that's the first one. If you wanted to get a spinning wheel, this is my first spinning wheel that I had. I don't have many wheels, but this is the first one that I had. This is an Ashford Traveller, and that's a really nice wheel to get started on. And also there's the Ashford Traditional, which is a nice simple wheel to get started on. And there's so many different kinds and different makes of wheels, but those are the ones that I've always spun on, and yeah, that's what I've worked on, so I only speak from my own personal experience. If people are asking what's good to start on, I can only speak from what I've tried, and I know that this is a really nice wheel to get started on. Cost, I'm not sure what the Traveller and Traditional cost now, or other kinds of wheels cost now, because this one's quite old, but you're looking at a few £100 if you're going to buy one new, at least 250 going upwards. I'm not sure though what these cost right now. But you can get second-hand ones as well on eBay, or marketplace and things like that. But I wouldn't recommend buying a wheel off anyone who hasn't spun on it, like somebody's just got hold of a wheel or got an antique wheel and stuff like that, because as beautiful as they can be, sometimes there can be bits missing, and it can be hard to get hold of parts, especially if it's an old handmade wheel or a brand that doesn't make parts anymore. You can get bits made by a wood turner and things, that's possible, but it can be a lot of faffing around if you get a wheel from someone who doesn't know about the wheel and there's bits missing, or that it's broken and things like that. So I'd recommend getting a wheel off somebody who's spun on it and knows the wheel if you're getting a second-hand one. Other equipment that you might need, so if you've got a spindle or a wheel, you can just get started with that, because if you've got fibre, you can buy pre-prepared fibre, like roving, wall tops, things like that, and just spin straight from those. If you want to spin from raw wool, natural sheep wool, or alpaca, or whatever fibre you've got, you don't have to card it unless you want it smooth. Unless you want fine smooth yarns, then you want to prepare that fibre really well. So if you'd like textured yarns, lots of texture in there, then you can spin straight from the fleece. And depending on the kind of fleece, some types you might need to really fluff it out and work with it with your fingers first to get those fibres opened up and fluffed out, so that you can spin a nice yarn with it. If you want to learn carding or blending your fibres, then you can get started just with a simple pair of carding bats. These ones are Ashford carders. Again, there's lots of different types of carders out there. Some people get started with dog brushes, or something that costs less, just to try it until you know whether you really want to carry on with it. Yeah, so this is to card the fibres, and blend. You can blend on these as well by putting different colours in, different textures in, and then carding it together. Other ways of carding fibres, you can use a drum carder, or you can use a blending board. Yeah, so blending boards you can make nice roll lags with. You can also take it off as a bat, and the same with a drum carder. You can take it off as a bat, which is meant for, or you can actually pull roll lags off that as well. There's ways of doing that as well, but it's mainly nice for working, taking it off as a bat, or you can use a diz and pull it off into a roving. Yeah, and another thing that you might need if you're learning to spin is this is a Noddy. It's got yarn on it at the moment. I didn't make that word up. It's a nice word. It's actually called a Noddy, and it's to skein yarn with. Again, something else you could make if you're handy with that kind of thing, or you can get hold of one of these, a Noddy. So if you don't want to buy a Noddy, or you've got a low budget, or you just want to try it and you don't want to spend lots of money on equipment, you can just wind your skein onto a chair, chair legs, or somebody holding their arms out, so you can wrap the yarn around. It's basically to take the yarn off the bobbin when you've spun it, so it would all be spun onto there, and you take it off the bobbin and you want it in a skein so that you can wash it, and set the yarn, set the twist on the yarn. Yeah, so you can do that, as I say, by wrapping it around something else. I've done it on table legs when I've made massive yarns. I turn Elfie's school desk upside down and I use that as a big noddy. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Another thing that you would need if you don't have, say, if you're getting a spinning wheel, this wheel's got a built-in lazy kite. This is a lazy kite. It's a thing to hold the bobbins while you're plying. So when you're plying the yarns together, you spun 2 single yarns, you ply those together into a 2-ply yarn or a 3-ply yarn. Then this holds those bobbins so that you can just reel that yarn back off and into the wheel to ply it the other way. So if your wheel doesn't have a built-in lazy kite, then you can get lazy kites on their own, just standalone lazy kites to use and work with. So that's some things that you can use to get started with spinning. And there's lots of other equipment that you can get into if you're really into it, but I'll do other videos on other kinds of equipment and fun things you can do with things, and I'll do a video to show you how to use a drum carder and things like that. So yeah, bye.